Another edition of Rothenberg Untucked. Oh my God, there's almost too much to get into. We're going to do the normal staples, Stump Rothenberg, and of course story time with Rothenberg as well. But what is wrong with the Yankees? The Rays absolutely own them. It's got to be a concern. There's something wrong with the Yankees. Mike Krzyzewski says, you know what? One more year and that's it. He's been there since the early 80s, one of the great coaches we've ever seen. We'll get into that. The Mets, the NBA, the Nets and the Bucks, a great series. Is it in actuality the NBA Finals? Stay tuned. A lot to do. It's Rothenberg Untucked right now. So what's wrong with the Yankees? The answer is there's a lot. I mean, let's sit here and analyze it for a quick moment, please. Injuries, sure, a concern. Corey Kluber is going to be out for the next couple of months, and Luke Voigt, we don't know the time frame of that. Aaron Hicks sounds like it's going to be the season. But it goes beyond that. Here's the thing, and I think everybody listening right now at this very moment has to agree. If you're a Yankees fan, you can't deny it. The Rays are a better team. The Rays are a better organization. The Rays are put together better. And the Rays are just, period, end of sentence, better. It's true. I mean, how many times do you have to watch Gary Sanchez make the same mistake? I don't even root for the Yankees, and it would drive me up the wall. It's the same thing over and over and over. How many times are you going to make the same base running mistake before it's enough? And I get it. I have to hear about it all the time. Oh, but he's so talented. When was the last time you looked at Gary Sanchez and said, he's a difference maker, he's a star, he's the answer? The truth is, it's been years now at this point. Does he have power? Sure. Does he have potential? Sure. He's not young anymore. We've been dealing this for years at this point. It's the same song and dance. I don't know if I'm the only one, but Gleyber Torres at shortstop, can we put an end to this experiment? I mean, this has to be the last year of Gleyber Torres at short, no? How many times are we going to sit here and watch him make the same errors over and over and over? And I don't know whether it's just too much for him, or there's too much pressure with him playing shortstop, but it's the same thing. The Yankees against the Rays in the second game of the series recently, Stanton doesn't play. And Torres doesn't play. How is that humanly possible? That you're going to take two of your best players in the biggest game of the entire season, and they're not in the lineup, and I got Gio Urshela batting fourth. Listen, Urshela's fine. He's a good player. I take nothing away from him. But if you have Urshela batting fourth, you have major problems, right? And Mike Ford, I have Mike Ford batting fifth. You're telling me that's not a concern? So I got no Kluber. I got no Voigt. I got no Hicks. Brett Gardner's playing almost every day. Clint Frazier is a guy that at some point the switch has to flip on. There's major issues. Yeah, you know what? Jameson Taillon, you like him? Have you noticed what his ERA is? It's over 5. The guy's been here for 2 full months, and the ERA is sitting here over 5 right now. There are major problems with the Yankees. And if you didn't know that the Yankees spent so much money on payroll and that the Rays spent nothing, honestly, who's the better team? I mean, look at it. I mean, they're interchangeable. They can start anybody. Kiermaier, he plays. Brett Phillips, he plays. It doesn't matter who they play. Yandy Diaz, he plays. Choi, he plays. It doesn't matter. Zunino, he plays. It doesn't make a difference. Rosarena, they can take any of their guys, put them in, take them out. Their bullpen, if you look at their bullpen, it is so different than what it is last year. It's a completely new pen. And you know what? It does not matter. So I don't know how you could sit here as we're now into June and look at the Yankees and say there are not major issues all over the place. Everyone says, oh, get rid of Aaron Boone. What do you want Boone to do? Play guys that don't exist on this roster right now? They're in big trouble. Now, can they make it to the postseason? Odds are still the Yankees will at a minimum be a wild card team. But have we lowered the standards to that? That's where we are now? Right? Well, if they get in, that's a nice year. If they get in and they win the wild card round and lose in the divisional round, is that a nice year? What are you expecting if you're a fan of the Yankees? Because I always thought, and George Steinbrenner always told us, it was either you win a World Series or it's a failed season. Are we adjusting expectations to that extent now, where we look at the Yankees and we say, well, you know what? They made the American League Championship Series. That's nice. This was supposed to be multiple titles. When does that start? When does that start? Giancarlo Stanton can't stay healthy for more than 10 minutes. It's amazing. The guy's on the injured list. He comes off, and then 3 games in, he takes a night off in arguably the biggest game of the season. How is this okay? The answer is it's not. The answer is there are major issues going on with this team right now. Their bullpen is elite. It really is. I mean, Chapman's been phenomenal. Green is sensational. Loizaga has been exceptional. I don't worry about the bullpen. They can't hit the baseball, though. And they play this era of baseball now where it's just get on, home run, get on, home run. Watch what the Rays do. They steal bases. Are the Yankees good on the bases? The Yankees don't even steal bases, and they can't run them. Imagine that. We have no chance of stealing a base, and yet we have no chance of actually having decent base running. Watching the Yankees is painful. Is there talent there? There's a ton of talent there. But at the end of the day, there are gaping holes within this organization. You're going to get a brilliant start every fifth day from Garrett Cole. We know that. And after that, you have major, major problems. They'll get in. But if I gave you $1,000 right now and said put it on any team in the American League to go to the World Series, would you go with the Yankees? The answer, unequivocally, is no. So I don't know if you heard what Theo Epstein had to say, and I have it right in front of you on my handy sheet of paper. And the quote is, "You're about to see some immediate changes with a slew of others on the way in Major League Baseball. Where could we possibly go, and can we actually admit that something is really broken here?" I think it's fair to say that baseball at this moment is broken. I watched the game since I'm a little kid. I used to sit there and keep my own stats. I played Stratomatic baseball, looking for the right role so guys are going to double and triple. The game is at the point where it's almost unwatchable. So what needs to be changed? Let's get into a couple things. First of all, electronic strike zones. You have to implement the electronic strike zone. You're telling me, how many times do you watch a Major League game and you have that stupid box that's there, right? And the ball goes whipping right through it. And it's almost embarrassing, right? The ball goes dead on right through it. And no, that's a ball. What? I just saw it went right through it. How is that a ball? No, that's a ball. And then the announcers, they come up with these inane excuses. Well, it might have crossed at a different. Well, then do me a favor. Get rid of the strike zone. Get rid of that box that's sitting there continuously, and it makes the umpires look foolish. But what is so wrong with the fact? Think about this now. You're sitting behind. You have full gear on. You have a mask on. You have a chest protector. You have full gear, and you're kneeling behind the catcher. You're now supposed to appropriately tell me whether the ball traveling at speeds of 97, 100, 102 miles an hour is hitting the corner or not. It's almost impossible. So let's be honest about it. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked in a while, and let's make the change. You still need a home plate umpire, right? I mean, you still need to be involved in plays at the plate and keeping in charge of the game and making the calls when it comes down from the electronic strike zone. But isn't it time to make the change, for God's sakes? What is so embarrassing about updating with the times? You go to it, you try it, and if it doesn't work, you know what? You revert back. I want that in, and I want that in immediately. Now, you have the pitchers that come in, and they have to face the minimum of 3 batters. I didn't think I'd like it. I like it a little bit. All right, it increases the pace of play. I do not think it's a horrible way to attack the game of baseball. I'm okay with that one. One that I've heard that I'm sorry, and maybe you say, well, Dave, it's because you're the old man in the room. I'm not that old, by the way. I'm only 48. But here's the thing. Moving back the mound? I don't want to move back the mound. You're fundamentally changing the entire game. The entire game of baseball completely changes by moving back the mound. Now, if you remember, and I wasn't born, 1968, they moved the mound down after that season because Bob Gibson had this 1.12 ERA and Denny McLain won 30 games. They have to move the mound down. All right. Again, I think it's a big change, but I'm okay with that. But you're going to fundamentally change the game? I don't want to do it. It's 60 feet, 6 inches. It's been like that for as long as anyone can possibly remember. You want to move it back to 61, 62? Do records change now? The entire game is now different. But I will tell you this. When was the last time on television, not at a game, on TV, you sat there and watched 9 full innings from beginning to end and sat there from 1:10 to 4:30 and did nothing else and only watched baseball? And therein lies the problem. Because I do it for football all the time. And I do it for the NBA all the time. And when the Rangers are playing, I'll do it for them all the time. I can't tell you the last time, from pitch 1 to the last pitch of the game, I watched a full Major League game. And I love baseball. The answer is it's broken, and what needs to be done? Something has to. And it sounds, according to Theo Epstein, like that's not far off. So I'm walking down the street the other day, and this gorgeous, sexy woman, like Bo Derek-like, she walks up to me and says, Tell me about your shirt. And I said, oh, this shirt? You know where it's from? Bo Derek looking woman? It's from Untucked.com. It's so easy. And let me give you a little advice. You can get it for cheaper than any other person can at the moment, because I'm going to give you a discount code. So you can buy a gift for your husband, for your son, for your dad. Father's Day is coming up. Untuckit.com. Get one for yourself as well. Anywhere you want, you can get an Untuckit shirt. Go to Untuckit.com or to one of 80 plus Untuckit stores nationwide. You say, Dave, give me the special code. How can we get it? All right, Dave. That's it. Go to Untuckit.com, enter promo code Dave, and boom, you save 20%. So if you're a Bo Derek looking woman or just an average looking woman, you want to get yourself a beautiful shirt for your husband or your son or your fiance or someone that you hardly even know for Father's Day or any day, do it. Untuckit.com, promo code Dave. It is now time for story time with Rothenberg. Oh, this is a good one. And I got to be honest, I consider myself to be a really good friend, a high quality friend. If you're in despair and you need help, I'm the guy you want to come to. But here's the thing. What am I going to say? Say it with me. Except on football Sundays. And therein lies the mistake of my friend Ted back in the day. So I'm living at home, early era of college, and it's a Sunday morning. And I'm just getting started. I'm on my way to the Giants game, and I don't even remember who they're playing, but it's, you wake up. I'm Jewish. I imagine it's what happens when you wake up on Christmas morning and you look up and you think, oh, I'm going to go downstairs and get all these presents. That, to me, is what a football Sunday is. So I wake up, and it's 8:45, and I'm not a tailgate guy. Get me to the game just in time to get to my seats and watch the game. I'm not one of these tailgate guys, right? So I wake up, and I'm just getting out of bed, and the phone rings. Hello? And on the other end, I hear, Dave, it's Ted. I'm like, Ted, what's going on? Dave, I'm in trouble. Uh-oh. What happened, Ted? Dave, I'm in jail. Oh, no, this is terrible. And this is completely true. We could get Ted on the line to confirm this, but I don't think it's necessary. He says, Dave, I'm in jail. I said, what happened? He said, well, to be honest, I got a DUI last night, and I was pulled over by the cops, and I, tested too high with the blood alcohol level, and I'm currently sitting in jail. But I got one call, and I thought to myself, who do I want to call? We've been friends since kindergarten. Now we're in our 20s. Who do I want to call? I want to call you. And that was a mistake from Ted, because I said to Ted, well, Ted, here's the problem. I'm on my way to the Giants game. I can't help you. But I'll tell you what, if you're still imprisoned and they win upon my return, absolutely, I will bail you out. So it didn't go well. Ted and I are still actually friends up to this point, and up to this day. He had to call his dad. His dad bailed him out. He reamed him. He had to take the bus for years after that. But he called me on a football Sunday. Ted, bad job by you. I stand by. Good job by me. And that is story time with Rothenberg. All right, so now we're set up, and you could argue at the moment, these are the best two teams in the NBA, and you get it in the second round, the Nets and the Bucks. And all I've heard is this is a different Bucks team. Drew Holiday, I mean, he's a different player. He brings them to a different level. I'm rooting for Milwaukee. I am desperate for the Bucks to win. I can't stand the Nets. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm on an island and I'm all alone. I don't like Kyrie Irving. I don't like James Harden. And I could leave Kevin Durant at the corner after he said no thank you to the Knicks. But let's be honest. All of a sudden, you think that the Bucks are a team that are going to go out there and beat this Nets team? How? How is this possible? Unless Giannis, and even so, if I'm the Nets, Giannis, you know what? You go out, you score 35 a game. Am I going to get Middleton giving me 30? Am I going to get Holiday giving me 30? Am I going to get Antetokounmpo giving me 30? The answer is no, you're not going to. Don't you see what the Nets have done? They've played this cat and mouse game with you all season long. I'm hurt. I'm not hurt. I'll play. I'm not going to play. And at the end of the day, they punted on the regular season. They're so talented. They still got the 2 seed. It doesn't matter. Have you watched them in the postseason? It took a Herculean effort from Jason Tatum to win one game in that series. Now you're telling me that Milwaukee, who has underachieved to epic proportions for a long time, but everybody loves Milwaukee this year. You know, it's funny, because last year you think about Milwaukee in the bubble, and everyone is really soured on that team, and they're not the team that we think they are, and things are kind of falling apart, and they get hammered by Miami, and it's different. And now you're telling me that you look at this club and say, it's an entirely different team because they've added Drew Holiday? Well, then, really? Because and again, I like Drew Holiday. I'd love for the Knicks to get their hands on a guy like that. But I got Kyrie, I got Durant, and I have James Harden, and everything changes for you with this upcoming series because of Drew Holiday? Oh, come on. Give me a break. I'm rooting for Milwaukee. I would love to play this video weeks from now and say how wrong I was. But do you honestly believe this is going to go the distance? Do you really believe that someone is going to take this Nets team all the way to 7 games? It's very difficult for me to comprehend that. And you've heard well, Steve Nash has never been there before. Okay. You want to use that as your argument? That's fine. The most talented team in this playoff series is the Nets. And here's the problem. And I don't like them. I'm a Knicks fan, and I find these guys to be unlikable, to be honest with you. But the problem is talent wins out. We've seen that. You see that in every sport for the most part. The talent wins out. Yeah, coaching matters. I'm not saying it doesn't matter at all, but talent wins out. Which team is more talented? I love Giannis. He's a great player. You know what? When I see him start to make 15, 17, 20-foot shots consistently in the big moment and hit the big free throw, I'll buy into it. But here's the thing. This, for intents and purposes, you could argue, first of all, this is the Eastern Conference Finals. There's no two ways about it. All right, Philadelphia, Embiid is hurt now. I don't trust Ben Simmons as far as I could throw him in a big moment. He's getting fouled intentionally. They're fouling him intentionally because he can't make the foul shot. And you know what? More often than not, he doesn't. So this is your Eastern Conference Finals. And you could argue that this is really the only test that Brooklyn will endure this entire postseason. The problem seems to me is nobody's as talented as Brooklyn. Nobody can slow down Durant. Nobody can slow down Kyrie. And nobody can slow down Harden. Can you slow down one? Maybe. Two? Yeah, possibly. All three, good luck to you. Go Milwaukee, but in actuality, the Nets are on their way to the first ever title in Brooklyn. All right, so I don't know if you heard this news, but this is big news. And that is, you could argue that the biggest coach in sports right now, the one that means the most to their program, the most to their team, the most to their organization, the most to their university, can you argue? I think you can, that it's Mike Krzyzewski. Mike Krzyzewski has been at Duke for 40 years. And he went there, and this is the amazing thing to me. And he says one more year, and he's now done. Now think about this. If you are going into Duke, and you're going to be a freshman, and you're part of the last ever class that Coach K is going to put out there on the court, how about the pressure that you have this year, huh? I mean, think about that for a second. If you're now heading to Duke, and it's one of the most, if not the most storied program in all of college basketball at this point, and you're going to attend school there for him, and this is his last year, you have as much pressure as any kid in college has ever had, right? So that's for starters. Secondly, think about when Coach K started. He went to Army. He coached at Army. He was fine, but it's Army, and nobody cares about Army basketball. Then he goes to Duke. They were a storied program. He takes over. They've never won the whole thing, and he takes over. First year, above 500. I wrote it down just to make sure that I'm right. Second year, 10-17. Third year, 11-17. What happens to guys that 3 years into their tenure in 2021 are below 500? You're out. That's what happens. You have zero chance of continuing along at that job. But Coach K, they give him a vote of confidence. We believe in you. Then he lands a point guard by the name of Johnny Dawkins, and it all changes there. So Mark Allery, Jay Billis, who we know now from ESPN, does a great job covering the college basketball. Johnny Dawkins, Tommy Amaker, right, head coach as well. We know of him. All of a sudden, it starts to change. And this is the amazing thing, and people forget this. The knock, the book on Coach K was he can get you to the Final Four, but you'll never win a Final Four with Mike Krzyzewski. Never. By the way, watch this. You know what? I thought I was going to spell his name, but I'm not going to because it seems very difficult at the moment. But here's the thing, all right? This is the guy that went there and was always the bridesmaid and never the bride. He led Duke to Final Four after Final Four. They went there in 86. They lose to Louisville. They go there in 89. They lose to Seton Hall. And finally, the one time you say, and then they're in the finals in 90. They get hammered by 30 points to UNLV. I believe it was 103-73. And then 91, they face that very same UNLV team. And I stand by this. It's one of the great teams you've ever seen in UNLV. And Hurley and Leitner and Thomas Hill and Grant Hill, and they take down an undefeated UNLV team, and then they beat Kansas in the finals. And then they do it again the next year, and they beat Michigan to win the championship. He's now won 5 titles. But here's a guy who was thought of as, can we really keep him? 3 years in, he's below 500, and he's never going to win a championship. And 40 years later, he has 5 titles. hats off to Mike Krzyzewski. He is as good a head coach in any sport. I mean, you want to say John Wooden is up there, John Wooden's sensational. You want to say that Bill Belichick is up there, Red Auerbach is up there, that's fine. But nobody, for my money, would I consider at all better than Mike Krzyzewski. So good luck to him, 75 years old, and he will hang him up after this one more year. Now, there's a lot of conjecture that who's going to take that job. Well, Brad Stevens pops up in the Boston organization because Danny Ainge is going to retire. It's not going to be Brad Stevens. I'm telling you, there's no chance. The next head coach at Duke will be John Shire, who's an assistant right there with Krzyzewski. But the bottom line is this when it comes to Boston. When you look back at the Celtics 5-7 years ago when they traded Pierce and they traded Garnett to the Nets and everyone said to themselves, you know what? There's going to be a time where Danny Ainge is considered the best and brightest and wins title after title after title. Well, you know what? Danny Ainge is now done, and they never even went to the NBA Finals with Danny Ainge during this run. And let's be honest, do you look at Boston as an up-and-coming team? The answer is no. So Brad Stevens will take that role. And again, let me emphasize, he's in that role. There's a lot of conjecture that maybe he's going to replace Coach Krzyzewski at Duke. That's not going to happen. But think about this now. And this shows you have to be a little patient in sports, right? Coach K starts at Duke. It's a failure. And in the end, amazingly successful. Danny Ainge starts at Boston. He's going to be the greatest thing we've ever seen. And in the end, has he been? The answer? I don't know. It is now time for everyone's favorite Stump Rothenberg. Let's start out with intern Tommy. Hello, Tommy.
How's it going?
We'll find out.
All right, so today's question, with the Nets winning Game 5 against the Celtics and winning the series, James Harden dropped a triple-double with the Nets. Who is the last Nets player to drop a triple-double in the playoffs?
So Jason Kidd's too easy. That's got to be too easy. Could it be Jason Kidd? I can't go back to Jason Kidd. I mean, it's 20 years ago. Maybe it is. I don't think I'm going to be right. I'm going to go with Jason Kidd.
100%, yeah.
And there we go.
Yeah.
And there we go. Next up on Stump Rothenberg is Nico. All right, Nico, let's see what you got here.
All right, Dave, I got a stumpy right here.
Okay.
Who is the only MLB player to ever hit 0 home runs and 30 home runs in a season, minimum 500 at-bats?
I've heard this question, and I can't think of the answer at the moment. Rod Carew jumps out at me, but I don't think it's Rod Carew. It's a good question, by the way. I've heard this. It's been asked to me on the air, and for some reason I don't have the answer. And all I can think of is Rod Carew, but I don't think that's right. I'm going to go with that, and I'm confident I'm incorrect. Rod Carew.
Incorrect. It's Kirby Puckett, Minnesota Twins.
I get the right team, just the wrong player.
Yeah, he had 0 home runs in his rookie season and 31 in his third year.
So rookie season, over 500 at-bats.
Yes.
And no home runs.
557 at-bats in his rookie season.
All right.
Third year, he had like 600.
Hall of Famer Kirby Puckett.
Yeah.
What else you got here?
All right, so given that Jacob deGrom just averaged, he threw 10 100-mile-per-hour fastballs in a row. So I ask you this question. What major league pitcher has thrown the most 100-mile-per-hour fastballs throughout their career?
Throughout their career. So just the most 100-mile-an-hour pitches. So right off the bat, I'm thinking Chapman, I'm thinking Nolan Ryan, and I'm thinking J.R. Richard. Those would be the three that would just jump into my head at the moment. Chapman's thrown a lot. The thing is, Chapman hasn't thrown as many innings as those other guys. Ryan threw forever. I'm going to say Aroldis Chapman.
Nolan Ryan.
I hate myself.
Nolan Ryan.
You saw the process, though. Like,
yeah,
I got them out there. I was ready to go. I should have gone with the...
Nolan Ryan, more longevity.
That's my own fault. I don't have to like everyone on Stump Rothenberg, and the next guy I do not care for, and that is TJ.
Well, Dave, I don't like you either.
All right, then there we go. And get out of here.
So I'm going to go a little Mets and a little Yankees.
All right.
Nothing too crazy because these guys went a little nuts today. Who are the top 3 leaders in the Mets home run category?
All time?
Yes.
Piazza?
He is one of them.
And solely guys that have had these with the Mets?
Yes.
David Wright?
He's the second.
Yeah. So I've already done well. I just need the one more. And this is the top?
This is the number 1 guy.
The number 1 guy. The most home runs in the history of the Mets. It's old time then, isn't it?
It's a little older.
Yeah.
I would say that most New Yorkers are a fan of this guy.
Most New Yorkers are a fan of this guy. Oh, Darryl Strawberry. And there we go.
All right, that was pretty good. Let's move it across town over to the Yankees. Which Yankee great holds the Major League record for most Grand Slams in one season, and how many did he hit?
That would be 6. Donald Arthur Mattingly.
There you go.
Yeah, please. Get out of my wheelhouse. And there you have it. We laughed, we cried, we came here and we conquered. We enjoyed Stump Rothenberg and story time. Please join us next week on Rothenberg Untucked.